We've been watching Rich Paul for years going out there and literally trying to tear down Jordan's legacy for years on different platforms like Gil's Arena, ESPN, the Pat McAfee show, the Rich Eisen, a whole bunch of shows. And nobody said a mumbling word. But now all of a sudden,
the Jordan-LeBron conversation to me is one that will never end.
Nope.
That's based on preference, on who someone likes. And I think the conversation in itself is something that will continue to go on and on and on. It will have a never-ending story because there's so many variables that go into it and what people, to them, makes that individual.
The fire has been reignited in the age-old battle of basketball greatness. This time, Charles Tabansi has gone all in on LeBron James fans and their so-called logic. In a no-holds-barred rant, he questions the entire foundation of LeBron's GOAT campaign and boldly claims that Michael Jordan, if placed in the same scenario, would have walked away with 15 championships. What followed was a roller coaster of takes, opinions, and hard truths from NBA legends and media voices. But here's the twist. What if this debate is not even about stats anymore? What if it is about preference and bias? Get ready, because this episode is going to cut through the surface and dive deep into the psychology behind the greatest sports argument of all time. Before we get into the firestorm, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another unfiltered breakdown on NBA Showdown. Charles Tabansi opened the conversation by calling out LeBron fans in the most brutal fashion. He said that after years of observing their behavior, he had come to one conclusion: they are full of it. His argument wasn't casual, it was rooted in what he claims is research of their logic, and he stated that their entire foundation is flawed. According to Charles, LeBron fans bend facts, twist narratives, and ignore history to justify their belief that LeBron is the greatest. He even painted a satirical picture of their behavior, describing them as so inconsistent that if you pressure them with logic, they leak bias. His point was not simply that LeBron fans are wrong, but that they refuse to engage in an honest debate. They rely on feelings, on brand loyalty, on carefully selected stats that ignore the full context. Charles believes this dishonesty is what keeps the GOAT debate from ever being settled on fair terms.
this is how I study them. I really analyze them to see the cracks in their logic and the things that they say. And after my extensive research over the last few years, I've come to the conclusion that LeBron James fans are full of shit. 100%, up and down, full of it. If you squeeze a LeBron fan, honey will pour out. This is what will happen. If you check their back pockets, they got honey there. If you go in their house, they got honey on the table. This is what these people do. They twerk, they shake, they holler, they move. This is the job.
Charles then dove straight into the reaction surrounding David Falk's recent comments, which shook up the internet. Falk, Michael Jordan's former agent, confidently said that if MJ had formed super teams like LeBron, he would have won 15 titles. That was all it took to send LeBron fans into a frenzy. Charles used this moment to point out the hypersensitivity of LeBron's base. He found it ironic that when Falk offered a hypothetical take based on what Jordan could have done in today's era, the backlash was immediate and intense. And yet, when LeBron's media circle criticizes Jordan or rewrites his legacy, nobody bats an eye. According to Charles, this double standard reveals just how biased the conversation has become. It is not about facts or historical accomplishments anymore. It is about who can shout the loudest and control the narrative. That, to Charles, is the biggest crack in the LeBron fan base armor.
So everybody and their grandmama is losing their mind over David Falk for saying that, oh, he doesn't have a LeBron in his top three, and that if Michael Jordan had engineered super teams, he'd have won 15 championships. Oh, these LeBron fans didn't like it.
Charles didn't let go just yet. He reminded everyone that Rich Paul, LeBron's longtime agent and friend, has spent years making appearances on major platforms, pushing narratives that chip away at Jordan's greatness. And guess what? Not a word of criticism was thrown his way. Charles pointed out the hypocrisy. If Rich Paul attacks Jordan, it's business as usual. But the moment someone like David Falk defends Jordan with even a fraction of that same energy, the internet goes up in flames. flames. Charles sees this as more than just a bias. He sees it as proof that LeBron's media machine has become untouchable. The imbalance in who gets called out and who gets protected shows how much power the LeBron camp holds over the modern basketball conversation. And to Charles, that imbalance is the exact reason why no real conversation can be had about the true greatest of all time. Everyone is picking sides. Everyone is biased.
We've been watching Rich Paul for years, going out there and literally trying to tear down Jordan's legacy for years on different platforms like Gil's Arena, ESPN, the Pat McAfee show, the Rich Eisen show, a whole bunch of shows. And nobody said a mumbling word. But now all of a sudden,
as the debate continued, Chad Johnson offered a more grounded perspective that intentionally or not exposed the entire flaw in the GOAT conversation. According to Chad, this argument will never truly end because it is not based purely on data or championships. It is about personal preference. People choose their GOAT based on who they grew up watching, who they relate to emotionally, and who they think represents greatness the way they see it. Charles may have gone off on the logic of LeBron fans, but Chad reminded everyone that this is an emotional war disguised as a basketball debate. When someone picks Jordan, they are not just picking a player, they're picking an era, a mentality, a standard that they believe in. And when someone picks LeBron, they're doing the same. That makes every argument inherently biased. There's no clean, objective truth in a debate like this, just passionate sides fighting to prove their version of greatness.
The Jordan-LeBron conversation to me is one that will never end.
nope.
That's based on preference, on who someone likes. And I think the conversation in itself is something that will continue to go on and on and on. It will have a never-ending story because there's so many variables that go into it and what people, to them, makes that individual.
Then came Cedric Maxwell, who offered what might be the most level-headed take of the entire segment. He acknowledged that LeBron James being part of the GOAT conversation is already a huge achievement. Cedric argued that being in the top 5 of all time should be enough to secure someone's legacy. He even admitted that he personally dislikes LeBron's current association with the Lakers, which makes him biased. But he was also clear he respects LeBron's contribution to the game. This statement brought balance back into the room. Cedric wasn't here to blindly defend or attack either side. Instead, he admitted his bias and pointed out that bias is part of this entire debate. Everyone has it, whether it's driven by fandom, emotion, or history. Even when you hate a player's decisions or personality, you can still acknowledge their greatness. But that's exactly what most people forget when the Jordan versus LeBron war breaks out. They forget the nuance.
They'll never see the light of day.
Here's the beauty about that he's in the conversation. That he's in the conversation. If you're one of the top 5 players that ever to play the game, period, that's enough for me. I don't need no more than that. You don't need to be whoever the best. No, he's one of the top guys to ever lace his shoes up. Although he is a Laker now, and I hate him because of that. I still respect him because of, just like Magic Johnson. I don't like Magic, but I respect him for what he's done.
Finally, Cedric made a powerful observation that brought everything full circle. He explained that people like Michael Wilbon cannot say anything negative about Michael Jordan because of their deep personal connection. They are from the same city, they share history, and that naturally breeds loyalty. Shannon Sharp added that if he had played with someone for a long time, he would be biased too. This comment unveiled the deepest truth in this entire debate. Bias is not just in the fans, it exists at every level. From the media to the players to the analysts, everyone has skin in the game. Whether it is personal experience, relationships, or brand loyalty, there is always something pushing people to one side or the other. So when someone says Jordan would have 15 rings or LeBron is the most complete player ever, they are not just stating facts, they are revealing which side of history they have chosen to stand on. At the end of the day, this debate is not going anywhere. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James is no longer a discussion about basketball. It is a cultural war, a generational divide, and a mirror into how we all process greatness. Charles Tabansi believes that LeBron fans are full of contradictions. Others, like Chad Johnson and Cedric Maxwell, say the debate is rooted in nothing but emotion and personal preference. But the one thing everyone can agree on is this: bias is everywhere. From media insiders to fans on Twitter, everyone brings their own lens to the debate. So maybe it is time to stop trying to end the argument and instead understand what fuels it. That way, instead of trying to crown a winner, we can actually start appreciating the legends we are lucky enough to witness. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an episode of NBA Showdown, where we bring the smoke and the truth to every corner of the league.